Yeah, if we can get him some help, yeah, because I really think, Dom's just been outstanding in the way he's just sort of carried the front line in many respects for us during this period, and you've got to put again context of the way we play. We put a lot of demands on that position, in terms of it's not just him sort of standing up there and scoring goals. It's working hard for the team, and I really think if we'd had some, if Richie was available, I think we would have. I think he would have been able to contribute even greater for us in terms of his output in goals. But I really love what he brings to us as a team. From a football perspective, from a sort of cultural perspective. I mean, I think the other growth we've seen in recent times is just him and sort of Decky becoming leaders, on-field leaders in the team, and again with Dom obviously being a new player. He probably would have been easier for him sort of just to slip in and try and do his job, but he's taken on the responsibility of helping the whole team. So, look, I think, like I said, he's been great for us, and I really feel there's more to him and his game, and we'll be able to get more out of him if we can get him some help.
It wasn't like he was cheap, he was the most expensive signing. But, and in hindsight's easy now because he's playing so well for Tottenham. But were you slightly surprised that there weren't more clubs in for him in the summer, given how rare it is to find a striker?
Oh no, I mean I don't know who else was in for him. I'm just glad we got him. I mean I think you're fine in terms of outlay. If you're trying to sign a striker of sort of with proven pedigree these days, it's pretty hard not to sort of spend, because like I said, clubs know how difficult it is to get those types. Especially, for me, Dom was kind of proven in that, sometimes when they play in other leagues, you go, okay, how are they going to go in the Premier League? But he'd already done it in the Premier League, and he'd shown some real growth in his time at Bournemouth. So nothing's a sure thing, but I really thought it was a real kind of safe bet for us, that we knew what we were getting. We're getting a proven sort of Premier League striker that was going to fit into our style of play, which is the most important thing. But even in terms of sort of what I was hoping for, I think he's exceeded that in my mind.
Just one question on Lucas. Before he signed, sort of watching the videos before he came out, I mean, his driving runs, which we've seen in the last few games, did remind me a little bit of the way Jude Bellingham runs forward, and also the fact that he seems to be able to play in all of the central midfield positions. Is he almost from a similar mould to?
Hard to say in terms of, it's always hard sort of comparing players, but he does seem to have that sort of unique ability of not unique ability, but unique sort of traits of being able to play those different kind of roles in midfield. So, usually midfielders will tend to sort of one way or another, but he seems to be able to sort of, cover the sort of defensive side of the game, have the technical ability to sort of, dictate tempos, but also the running capacity to break lines. And I think he's got goals in him as well. I mean, obviously he scored his first one, but from what we see at training, he's a good finisher. So that's the exciting bit. But again, we've got to temper that with he's 18 and he's still got a lot to learn. But from my perspective, that's exciting in that we're trying to build this team. Is the fact that we got. I think there's a few players in our team that are sort of multifunctional in that way. Just gives you a great scope with what we're trying to create moving forward.
Angelo, getting back to Goalkeeper, as you said, brilliant against Hamilton in the aerial stuff. You'll probably have a lot of that against Arsenal as well. Is that a different challenge, the same sort of challenge?
Yeah, well, look, it's a different challenge, but it's more got to do, I guess, with mindset in that, he was prepared to embrace that challenge, and I think he's prepared to embrace the challenge of, we all know how, we found out in the last game just how strong they are on offensive set pieces and the players they've got in there in terms of both delivery and execution, and you need you need to be well organised, but you also need your goalkeeper to play a pivotal role in that. And I think so far what I've seen of him, and he's embraced those challenges. It's not easy. You go to a place like Tamworth and they're throwing balls literally under the crossbar, and you've got about 20 bodies around you to deal with. And it's as much as it's about technical ability, I think it's more about sort of mindset and tackling that. And he didn't shy away from it, which I thought really helped us, because then that gives confidence to the players around him that, if it's in his area, he's going to come for it. So then we can sort of focus on our job.
Obviously, a lot's been made about Arsenal over the last 18 months and their set pieces. And last year, a lot was made about you defending your set pieces.
Yeah.
It's changed, hasn't it? And what have you done? How have you?
Oh, look, I think it's just sort of the evolution of the team. Like I said last year, I mean, people just, again, like, it's pretty simplistic in their outlook when I spoke about set pieces that, well, I don't care about set pieces and we don't have a set piece coach, so we don't work on them. I mean, it's just, anyway, but we haven't put more emphasis on them. It's just we've changed some things around the way we're defending them, and it's working really well for us this year in terms of, we've changed our setup a little bit, and the players have kind of embraced that, and I think for the most part we've been really good. Like I said, that obviously when we played them at our place, they scored a good goal, and that was the difference. But they've done that to a lot of teams. I don't think that's just to us, but for the most part, I think we've handled set pieces really well, and we will have to tomorrow, because like I said, they've got good delivery, which is always difficult, doesn't matter what your setup is. Especially Declan Rice, he delivers a great sort of corner in, and they've got some big guys in there, so we're going to have to be ready for it.
Do you have to be ready for things like gamesmanship against Arsenal any more than anybody else? I know Newcastle are quite good at it as well, but Arsenal on a Sunday, winning a penalty, scuffles off the ball, things like that. Do you have to tune in?
Yeah, no. I don't worry about. We can't let sort of the stuff we can't control affect what we do. We've got to try and make sure that we just focus on executing our game plan and our football, and I don't sort of I've never sort of worried too much about those kind of things, in terms of I think that can end up making you take away your focus on what's important to us, because ultimately what's important to us is if we play our football and we play a real high tempo game and really sort of maintain a real intensity in it, that whenever we've done that this year, we've been a hard team to stop, and it's only when we've kind of gone away from that for whatever reason that we've allowed the opposition to get on top of us.
And just on that, Ange, I think everyone, or most people, expected the Liverpool game to be more open than it was, especially after the 6-3. I certainly felt the same about the last North London derby. It was a bit cagey than I thought it was going to be. I mean, how do you think that the game's going to go? What kind of match?
Yeah, it just depends. I think a lot of those things are kind of sometimes just game state. If there's an early goal, that might open things up. It might close things up. It just depends. I think usually kind of the higher the stakes, the more sort of, like I said, human nature players, and get a little bit more cagey about the way they play. But for us, like I said, even though I know you said the Liverpool game was a lot tighter, I still felt what sort of got us. The outcome in the end was that we started the game at a real high intensity. I mean, we had a great chance. I mean, obviously we lost Rodrigo early, but we started the game really high intensity and we finished really strong. And I think we've probably finished stronger in that game because of we maintained a real high tempo in that first half. And I think it'll be important tomorrow night as well that we start the game really well, try and play as high tempo as possible, and then hopefully the physical conditioning we have allows us to sort of get on top of them late.
You talk about an early goal there. It feels like it's a difficult moment for Arsenal, and maybe confidence is a bit low in front of goal. There's a bit of unrest from the crowd. Can you use that? If you go ahead early, or even if you keep it tight for a long period.
Yeah, look, again, they're the kind of things that you may say that, but I don't. That's not how I prepare for a game. I'm preparing for a game that, you know, Arsenal are going to be at their best, and if Arsenal are going to be at their best, we're going to have to be ready for that. If we go into a game thinking that maybe they're just not at it, then I think you fall into a trap of not preparing in the right way, because irrespective, their form up until the last couple of games was pretty compelling. If anything, I was reading how they turned things around pretty significantly, and I think they had. I think once Odegaard came back in the team, they were looking very, very strong. Look at their results apart, and like I said, it's really the last couple of games where people have sort of all of a sudden dropped off them, and that's the nature of football these days. It's like a week, 10 days, all of a sudden, somebody who people were saying was flying, all of a sudden is struggling. I don't buy into that. I still think they're one of the top teams in the country. They've got some fantastic footballers. They're well organised. They work hard for each other, and it's going to take a massive effort for us to knock them over.
And finally for me, Archie Gray, you keep saying he's not a centre-back. For an 18-year-old, it strikes me he looks quite good there. Is that because he doesn't want to play there, or is that just because that's fundamentally not his position? Could he end up there?
No, Archie wouldn't dare say he doesn't want to play a position. He's not a centre back because he's never played at centre back. He's playing there for us now, and he's doing a hell of a job. But that's not where I see him, and the attributes he has. I definitely think he'll. Again, a bit like Lucas, I think the beauty of it is that he's got some real unique traits, which means we can use him in a lot of areas, but I don't see centre back as where his ideal position is. I think, but that notwithstanding, he's done an outstanding job for us.
Okay, last couple, Tom, and then finish with Alan, please.
For all the kind of noise about the Tottenham's defending this season, Spurs actually have only conceded 9 goals away from home, which is actually the best record in the league. I was wondering if you kind of have an explanation why the team.
You don't want to hear my explanation. You'd rather hear that that I don't like defending and we don't defend, and we're open, and we've got this ridiculously high line, and we get torn apart in every game. That's what you want to. That's the narrative. Look, considering the challenges we've had, I think our defending this year has been very good. We've obviously got blown away in a couple of games, the Liverpool game significantly, and the Chelsea game. But aside from that, even the losses we had, they're only by a goal and very tight games. And I think it's been a collective approach of us working hard defensively. But I think what's let us down is just, I think I've said this before, just moments in games. We've lost focus, even games where we've defended really well. We've just switched off at key moments, and it's really cost us. Whether that's home or away, and still kind of we need to that's the area we need to sort of eradicate. But at the same time, like I said, Tony's the 4th keeper we've used this year. We've had I don't know how many different back fours, and anyone will tell you that cohesion and communication, understanding between defensive units is key, and we haven't had that. So considering all that, I think for the most part our defensive setup has worked, mainly because I think just how hard the team works as a unit. It's not just about the back four, and I think because we do work so hard, we make it difficult for oppositions to create a lot against us.
The numbers do sort of suggest that criticism is slightly exaggerated. Do you think the?
Well, it doesn't fit the narrative, does it? That I'm just one-dimensional and pretty simple in my approach. So that it's much easier to say that I don't care about defending or set pieces, or we don't work on defensive setups, and all I care about is so. It doesn't fit that narrative, but I do know that to have success, you need to be strong defensively. You need to be, and in fact, the majority of our work is what we do when we don't have the ball. Now, that doesn't mean defending. That means pressing the opposition really aggressively so that we get the ball higher up the park and we create more chances. So it's still about scoring goals, but look, we work hard on that aspect of the game.
Just on Arsenal, it seems like their only problem at the moment is sort of converting chances. I wonder if that's something that you analyse, that you've seen certain players or certain positions,
look, I think we're guilty of that at times. I've said before. I think we've had some moments where we've been wasteful this year, where we really, whether it's games we should have put away and we didn't, and other games we've had really good chances and we've sort of haven't taken them, and then the opposition go up and score. So it's it's kind of still the hardest part of the game to sort of solve for everyone. It's as I said before, the Tamworth game, scoring goals is still the hardest thing. It's what makes our game so exciting, is that irrespective of the quality you have, the ability to put the ball in the net, sometimes it just needs to come off somebody's backside and go in, and you're happy, mate. And it's just as good as somebody putting it in from 30 yards top corner, But that's the nature of football. So it's about those key moments.
Alan, to finish, please.
You mentioned a few minutes ago about Kinsey giving confidence to the other players. Could you sort of expand on that a little bit? Because I think in the Liverpool game you could notice was about maybe 10 minutes in playing a pass to the left. You could notice from the stands as almost a sign of relief. Just talk about how that sort of manifested.
Well, I guess, it happens, I guess, with every new player, but particularly a key position like goalkeeper. I think it does give some, comfort to the players around him if they see he's handling it well. It just, it means then they can sort of focus on their own job and have a lot of sort of be a lot more clear-headed than, if he was kind of, whether it's struggling to sort of adapt to the way we want to play, or the challenges because we obviously prepare for games. We prepared for Tamworth and what they were going to do. We knew every time they had a throw in their half, it's going to come in the box. So how are we going to deal with it? This is how we want to deal with it. But that's all great in theory. Is then you've got to go. And I think when he came out for the first two and caught them, then the players around go, okay, well, he's got this. So if he's got this, I've got to make sure. Whereas, if he didn't and there was uncertainty there, then I think that tends to filter through the whole team.
How does that differ if you're an outfield player when it comes to adapting to the style of play as a new signing?
Oh, because it's a more pivotal role, because you kind of you understand the consequences of them. A goalkeeper not sort of feeling comfortable is because he's usually required in key moments. Whereas a player, yes, there are key moments, but there's also other parts of the game where he can sort of settle into it and kind of find his feet and work his way through any issues he may have. Whereas, like I said, a goalkeeper, for the most part, whenever he's involved, whether it's with the ball or without the ball, it's a pretty key moment. So his ability to sort of just fit in really quickly has helped us enormously.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.